How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. Today we are talking about something that is horrible. It's honestly horrible. Now, there's still a way that you can help and that you can make money from this, but I want to do a follow-up video to this later today, giving a really important story, something just to keep your mind focused. So be on the lookout for that video. But here we're talking about how you can make money, and we're talking about a crisis. Now, I did not know this was happening. I knew there was an energy crisis in Europe. I knew that it was horrible that energy prices were going up and everything that comes along with that. I didn't know that there was an energy crisis in South Africa. Until someone posted about it on Twitter, I had no idea. So if you haven't heard about this, they are having a huge problem. They're having nationwide power blackouts in Africa's most developed economy. They are having a problem with electricity, so they're having to have rolling blackouts in an attempt to save electricity while struggling to keep its aging and poorly maintained coal-fired power stations operational. Now, what they're doing here is they are going without power for hours at a time. They have a schedule, and basically they say that day what they're expecting. Stage 5, stage 6 are things that are happening. So that means 8, 10 hours without power. And this affects a lot of different things in your daily life, as you can imagine, from water supplies in some areas, because they use electric power pumps. So they're grinding to a halt, to, things rotting in fridges and everything in between. Right? There are so many different things. Even if you just think about the innovation that can't happen because they're going through power outages or blackouts several times a day for a couple hours. Imagine if that happened in America, right? People would leave. People would try to go anywhere else. There'd be rioting in the streets, right? So I had no idea this was happening. And it's a horrible thing. It's devastating to so many people, and a lot of people's lives will be lost because of this. With that in mind, I am a channel that talks about how to make money, and I think that it's pretty obvious that anything that has these kinds of maybe power storage units would do well, or solar power, which is why we're talking about Tesla again, right? I've said many times recently, Tesla's my largest position, but there's a good reason for it. I mean, everyone just thinks about the car part of their business, but they're doing a lot more, and one of their biggest parts of their business is power walls and solar. So this is a great time to be looking at Tesla for that. If you don't like them for the cars, or you think maybe the cars are overblown, look at their power business, because recently they got a lot of attention. They actually were paying people to give back their power to the grid in California, part of their virtual power plant program, where some people aren't even having to pay the monthly payments because of them being able to sell off their energy. So if you think this isn't kind of happening in the US, we're not having power issues, you're wrong. When you look at Texas or California, they have these things happen a lot. I mean, there are other places as well, but those are just what come to mind first. They have power problems where they have massive heat waves, and they have just a lot of people running power, so they have a shortage on the grid. Now, obviously in the future, we will continue to grow our energy powering areas, or hopefully we'll have more solar, hopefully we'll have more wind and hydroelectric. Hopefully we actually get nuclear, because there's just a bad stigma about nuclear, but it's actually really good in terms of power generation, and isn't that unsafe either. So hopefully that all happens, but Tesla really, I think, can benefit a lot of people. And when you think about, again, if this were to happen in the US, where we had some kind of mandatory power off time, think about how many people would buy these as soon as that happens. Think about how many people would buy generators and solar and all these different things to try to be able to power their house if they need to. So there's going to be a lot of demand for Tesla. I'm sure Tesla's already selling a lot of these different units in some of these areas. But as time goes on, I think there's going to be more and more need for it, and people are less and less willing to go without power. Think about how many things you use every day that take power, from your cell phone, your computer, whoever you're watching this with, to refrigerators, to coffee makers, to everything in between. So I think Tesla is definitely at the forefront or one of the companies at the forefront of this industry at a very trying time. And for anyone that is wondering about the valuation, the fact is, it is growing like crazy. This is on Seeking Alpha. There's a link to Seeking Alpha too if you want to sign up. It's a great place to look at different companies, and you get a discount with that code underneath. They have a great growth rating. So they're growing faster than just about any company, definitely any company their size, but they're growing super fast. People don't like the valuation. They think that the valuation is too high, and that's why they're not buying, because they're waiting for it to come down a little bit more. That's what they always say. Or they think that it's valued at $200 or $100, or they're shorting it or something like that because it's holding up well versus the overall market. Well, the reason that the valuation is so high is because it's growing so fast and it's so profitable and it's got such a large moat. The fact is, if it can continue to grow, which they're planning on selling a lot more cars in the future, and they're growing out so many different parts of their business, if it continues to grow like this, then the valuation won't seem out of line. It will seem cheap, at least in a few years. So that's something you have to pay attention to. If you think the valuation is high, but you continue to think that they'll be able to continue to grow at this kind of rate or close to it, then you might have to rethink your valuation. Rethink if you think it's actually too high. So consider that, right? I think a lot of people just get hung up because it's at a higher PE than a lot of different companies, but there's a reason that's at a higher PE than a lot of different companies. It's got a better moat, it's got better technology, it's got better margins, it's growing way faster, they have a better CEO than any other company out there. So there are a lot of different reasons that they are pretty expensive. If you want to buy Tesla, you can use moomoo underneath the video, where you can get up to 15 free stocks and a ton of free money. We're talking thousands and thousands of dollars. If you deposit $100, you get a handful of free stocks, and if you deposit $2,000, you get way more free stocks. So definitely check out that link underneath the video. Let me know your thoughts on Tesla underneath the video in these kind of terrible times, these trying times, with so many different people going through an energy crisis. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.